Well, America, I hope you like measles. Thanks to all of you. This just in.
When I was a kid, my mom took me to the circus once, and the thing I remember was the clown car. You know, where 12 clowns pile into a car, which then drives erratically, and then they stop and they all pile out and jump around like clowns. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That wasn't the circus. That's Trump's cabinet picks.
In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted.
That, of course, is RFK Jr., who's just been nominated to run Health and Human Services. Now, there's a lot here to unpack, but let's start with this.
This extraordinary, bizarre article on RFK. And they're reporting that doctors, in a deposition, that RFK said doctors found a worm in his brain that had eaten part of his brain and then died.
I'll be honest, until the last 12 months, I had no idea how f***ing crazy this guy was. But it's more than just crazy. As you'll see in a minute, the guy's capable of some dark and weird shit. Kennedy has previously lobbied Congress to allow parents to opt out of state requirements for vaccinating their kids. And according to the New York Times, his nonprofit called Children's Health Defense, they paid for more than half of the ads on Facebook that promoted false claims about vaccines. Joining up here with Dairy Queen.
Do you think that's appropriate? Do the American people deserve to be abused like that, Mr. Fauci? Because you're not doctor. You're Mr. Fauci in my few minutes. No, I don't need your answer. I want to talk about this right here.
Mr. Chairman,
Fauci,
objection.
Objection. I reclaim my time. I reclaim my time, Mr. Raskin.
Gentlelady will suspend.
Mr. Chairman,
Point of order.
Just in terms of the rules of decorum, are we allowed to deny that a doctor is a doctor just because we don't want him to be a doctor?
Kennedy accused Fauci of a historic coup d'etat against Western democracy, whatever the hell that means. Even his wife and family call him insane. So who is this guy?
I have never been anti-vax. I have never told the public avoid vaccination.
I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to him, better not get him vaccinated. And he heard that from me. If he hears it from 10 other people, maybe he won't do it. You know, maybe he will save that child.
Look, I'm no doctor, but I can read. Vaccines in many forms have been around for hundreds of years, and the science behind them is pretty easy to understand. By putting a dead or weakened virus into your system can begin to produce antibodies that protect you when the real thing happens. Vaccines have saved millions of lives from polio, mumps, rubella, and even from different strains of the flu, and yes, COVID. But here's where we learn just how much of the brain that worm ate.
You know, the technology that we now have to develop these microbes, we've put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes. The Chinese have done the same thing. In fact, COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately.
Wow. Wait, whoa. So Kennedy's saying that we put hundreds of millions of dollars into ethnically targeted microbes and that COVID-19 was targeted to kill blacks and white people, but not Chinese and Jews?
What the f is wrong with you?
Why would you say Jews and Chinese people weren't targeted? That is so insane. I wouldn't put this guy in charge of parking my car, much less the health and safety of hundreds of millions of people. I mean, he makes Matt Gaetz look like Wyatt Earp, and the incredulity is everywhere.
We have to talk about this very bizarre anti-vaccine rally in Washington today. Just strange stuff happening here in Washington, strange things afoot. Here's RFK Jr., the son of the former Attorney General. He's an anti-vaxxer making some incredibly offensive comments earlier today. Let's watch.
What we're seeing today is what I call turnkey totalitarianism. They are putting in place all of these technological mechanisms for control we've never seen before. It's been the ambition of every totalitarian state from the beginning of mankind. Even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps into Switzerland. You can hide in an attic like Anne Frank did.
Okay.
I mean, this is just insanity. I mean, you know, first of all, we should point out Auschwitz put out a tweet, exploiting the tragedy of people who suffered were humiliated, tortured, and murdered by this totalitarian regime of Nazi Germany, including children like Anne Frank, in a debate about vaccines and limitations during the global pandemic is a sad symptom of moral and intellectual decay. That from the Auschwitz Museum. I mean, John and Margaret, it just boggles the mind. I think there's something wrong with him.
RFK said doctors found a worm in his brain that had eaten part of his brain and then died.
There's no comparison.
No, and yet we hear the comparison made over and over again by anti-vaxxers and folks on the right. And of course, there's just no comparison in any sane, reality-based world, and yet they keep being attracted to it. You want to talk about technological surveillance state? Talk about China. Don't talk about efforts to vaccinate people during a global pandemic.
But Kennedy has gone full MAGA when it comes to COVID and even masks. He's so crazy, it makes me wonder why this woman didn't get the job.
At the end, I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
But the real danger are the lies about vaccines killing people. And of course, there have been reactions, but that just gave the anti-vaxxers, who despite hundreds of studies, still claim that vaccines cause autism and death.
There's 25% of Americans who believe that they know somebody who was killed by a COVID vaccine.
Killed?
Killed. 25% of Americans, 52% of Americans believe that the vaccines are causing injuries, including death. 52%. If you look at the clinical trial studies, the actual studies that were done, that were released of the Pfizer vaccine, Moderna has not released it. If you look at the Pfizer vaccine, there were 22,000 people in the placebo group, 22,000 people who got the actual vaccine. And the people who got the vaccine had a 23% higher death rate from all causes at the end of that study.
But that could not be the disease itself?
Kennedy uses polls and made up numbers like Trump. He literally made up the numbers you just heard. These idiots in MAGA want the government oversight of food and medicine to be curtailed and instead let the market decide what is safe. That's like saying we shouldn't have brakes and seatbelts on cars.
And don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I mean, I thought I understood Trump's other picks, all designed to either keep him out of jail or to attack his enemies. But the pandemic was such a disaster for Trump, from the economy to the CDC's assessment that his handling of the outbreak cost approximately 500,000 unnecessary American deaths. So I wonder why Kennedy? But more than 1 million Americans died from COVID, and this is important. Not one healthy person died as a direct result of getting vaccinated. That's over 200 million shots. Google it. Kennedy is more than a man with a worm in his brain. He's a liar and a cheat. Just ask his family.
He's trading in on Camelot, celebrity, conspiracy theories, and conflict for personal gain and fame. I have no idea why anyone thinks he should be president.
Perhaps no one should be shocked and surprised by Trump's pick. The only question left is this: who's more insane? But of course, that's a horse race where whomever wins, everybody loses.
Damn right.
This is not a normal election.
Whether the women like it or not.
Suck my fat one.
Who's with me?
Yes!
Tick-tock, mother... They're eating the dogs.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the f*** up, Darren.
Who's with me?
Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes! Tick-tock,
You're in a lot of trouble, Donna.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.